Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a rather bittersweet and sad special episode of Midori's Midnight Sessions. I had to bring this back probably for one or two more episodes. But this one first, I would like to address. Um, wow. I am not gonna lie. It's it's rather hard making this episode because I have talked about this in the past. Like, if you remember um about the assignment about community, about belonging to a community, um the professor who was teaching us that subject unfortunately passed away last week. It was a rather sudden announcement, a rather sudden like um deliverance of the news. Like, everyone was just shocked. Everyone was devastated, from my professors to my classmates to practically everyone in between. And I've gone to the wake twice now. And every time that I'm there, it's hard to describe. Just that awful feeling of melancholy, and hearing the reactions of my professors. um they they recognized her as a dear friend and someone who was fierce, like, she was always firm. She was adamant in her principles. She has this steadfastness that I've probably only seen in my best friend, but hers is a different kind of firmness that she's ready to stand. Like, she's ready to stand up to anyone, basically. And honestly, that's what makes me terrified to, interact with her. I mean, even though I've already been a class representative by then, but it was just so terrifying, like, having to interact with her, because there's just this always, like, um, she has this strong, fierce aura, like a femme fatale, okay? Like, she was the only person I am intimidated in that faculty room. The rest, I'm fine with. Yeah. Like, her and another, yeah, my ex thesis advisor. I think that would be a probably bad thing to call him, but yeah, that's, like, in the context of this podcast, I've already talked about this, so I'll just call him my ex thesis advisor. And I remember that assignment fondly, even. Like, because on that assignment, I wrote this particular paragraph. And I call myself here. There is always that concept of ownership that comes with a community. You belong to it because you're in a certain area or share something with the people you come across. Then you define it, let it flourish, and maintain that sense of belonging in the community. People come and define that with you, then they leave a mark in the process, whether that be insignificant or an impact so indescribable that you have a hard time comprehending its sudden disappearance. You're then left to make that mark matter. In your way, of course. And I just when I look back on this assignment, I was just left in awe. Because I think of her and like here's the thing. It was so shocking because like a few days before it was our journalism seminar and and she asked me to like hold her purse because she was gonna go on the stage with the rest of the guys and they were gonna take pictures with our speakers for that particular event. And she was just, like this femme fatale self. She was like alive and kicking. And that was just like 3 days before she passed. And then the Thursday before that, she was actually discussing our very last topic. And yeah, I remember from my classmates that it was such a fun discussion. Like it was a light-hearted chat between professor and student, and she was dropping jokes and we were laughing a lot. And I remember I was wearing red. I wore a red peplum top and jeans, if I remember correctly. And I was so active in that discussion. And if I remember correctly, there was this one time where she was asking like, what are the challenges, I think, of community media, and I told, I mean, probably not that, but I think it was the equality or something. Like, do you think women are treated equally? And I'm like, no. I still think there is that patriarchy, overruling patriarchy within the country and the society that we have. And I was just that. And like one of my classmates was agreeing with me. And it was like we were allowed to talk about our opinions. And she allowed that, And that was like 2 weeks ago. It was just days, literal days before she passed. So when you think about it, it was just one of the most shocking things I have ever heard of. Like, I went there for the first time last Friday by myself. And just like walking to that tarpaulin where it displayed her photo and her name, and it said from May 10th, 1981 to May 29th, 2024, and I'm just thinking to myself, holy shit. She was young. She's just like the same age as my favorite artist. Right now. They were the same age as my favorite artist. And as I was like walking through this um through this narrow walkway to their house, I really, really, really tried to hold back my emotions because it was that hard. It was just shocking to me. It was incomprehensible shock to everyone. I mean, we haven't interacted much, sure, but damn, she was a huge loss. Like, damn, it was so sudden. And one of my classmates told her family yesterday. And she was like joking about there being so many dead people around her, and then she kind of foreshadowed her own death. That was honestly creepy, but it was brought up in such a light way, and now it suddenly hits hard, you know. And I remember her, one of my fondest moments was being questioned during that proposal defense, and I am so sad that she will never get to see the end of this. She will never know the reason why. Um she will never know the reason why I wanted to do this. Cause no, like, she was one of the people who don't know about the whole situation that led up to the conceiving of my thesis. And here's another one. This was from another assignment. Um, I just imagined to myself how powerful it is. How powerful is it to have a community that loves you dearly, even for a short time? You're there as one of their own, lovingly partaking in all its glory and sad. I don't know. And probably I don't care how long she spent there. I just know she was there, and she made the difference. As I was alluding to earlier, it was in one of my assignments where I said uh it is an impact so indescribable that you have a hard time comprehending its sudden disappearance. And I was there. I was in their house, cause the Wakes had their house, and I told her, "Damn it, man! Why you gonna bail on us? Why you gonna bail us out like that? Bail out on us, you know?" Mind you, she already gave us our final requirement. She already like said final instructions. I don't know how are we gonna get graded now. I couldn't stand being in that room because I went there the day she died, and there was no one in the room. There was no one. The lights were out. And just being there, being in that, being even outside, it was just so heavy. Like my heart was just really like being pushed down by a ton of concrete. Like I was being pushed down. My heart was just down, down, down. It was that hard, and it was that incomprehensible. And you know, grief is such a funny thing. I have talked about it so many times, you know, losing my best friend, which I never lost, by the way. But still, losing someone so important, so dear to you. It's hard. Like you're left to grapple with something that you could not even describe. You could not even understand. Like why so sudden? Why you gotta do it like that? Why now? There are a lot of questions, and I wish I knew the answers to these questions. But like I've told you so many times during the past episodes, when you really like are fond of someone, you love someone, like platonically or not, it's really hard to just make sense of why they chose to leave like that in the first place. Right? It's you don't even know how to move forward, but you gotta you gotta move forward. You have to um you have to just make sense why. And I remember the last time I went there, uh they were her family was recounting like, oh, she loved to sing, and she had like a karaoke for herself upstairs, and we couldn't even go inside her room because she has her own room. We couldn't go inside because it was just so hard to, you know, like feel the loss. You don't even know where to start, where to begin. And like a few days ago, I checked up with like a few of my profs, like the people that I know are feeling it hard. And one of them was my thesis advisor, and I was like, how are you? Another was my Jorn Sem prof, and she was also like, yeah, I'm not okay. I have to grieve. But I said to her, that's okay. Like, it's not related to you, but I'm also feeling really sad and like I mean, not really lost, devastated rather. I I still feel devastated all this time. Like, that we don't get to talk anymore, and that I've always regarded him as my best friend all along. Like, I just know he was one of the people that I would definitely go to when I had happy times, sad times, or just, a casual talk to. We just like to bring our school stuff, our family stuff, our personal stuff too. Like, it's it's never easy to just it's never easy to really begin to heal, to grapple with such a sudden disappearance, a sudden departure. And I like to think of it as one step. Maybe it will feel better. Maybe we'll be fine. And maybe there is a need to rally with the community to share the grief, to help us understand what this loss means to us. How should we interpret it? How should we, like, make use of that grief, channel it into something else? And for a long time, that has been my podcast. That has been this podcast. And its accompanying blog, Midori's Morning Sessions. That has been this for me. It's how I try making sense of these indescribable feelings. And I don't know if we would be fine. I think we will be fine. We will be just fine, but here's the thing. Personally, I don't like it when I keep containing my emotions. I do not like it when I just know I want to cry. Somehow I couldn't. I don't like it when I know for a fact that I would just isolate myself, try to make sense of it alone. But that is not, and that should not be the case, because you have this whole group of people. What she said was right. Like, I remember her saying that a community is a group of people. They live in one area, they share interests or backgrounds, right? But I think more than ever there has to be like this group of people that need to rally with each other, to console each other, to cry together, and to pat themselves on the back together. And even though it hurts, even though it is such a devastating blow to the community itself, it is a community, you know? It is still very much a community, no matter what, no matter when, no matter who's in that community, no matter what the reasons are for joining that community, it is still very much a community. And I leave you the quote that I made in one of my assignments. Community media is as simple as the most casual sleepover or a good old drinking party. It is so mundane, yet so profound in its impact. These simple moments become the steroid that fuels the news cycles within one's community. These breakfasts and lunches and dinners are a way for people to bond over basically everything, from family life to college degrees to honoring the memory of someone dear to making changes inside their community. And that is today's episode of Midori's Midnight Sessions. I'll see you next time.